All right, Bruce, one last one for you. And I think it's about what I think is maybe the most interesting prospect in this draft. And that is the quarterback of the reigning national champ Michigan Wolverines, JJ McCarthy. And I'm so fascinated by the story here because, I mean, look, the winning speaks for itself. The talent speaks for itself. But the debate comes in with what Michigan asked of its quarterback last year. Clearly, he was good enough to win a national championship. But I also think there's a lot of people that are going to say, well, I don't know that the tape stacks up with what some of these other prospects have done. You're as plugged in as anybody. You see as much college football as anybody. What do you make of JJ McCarthy and where he might eventually wind up in this draft?
I like JJ as a first-round quarterback. I don't know if he's a top 10 quarterback, but the stuff that we've seen from him, he's a really good athlete. He can really run. He throws on the run really well. That translates. He's really competitive. He is a good leader. He's a winner. You see that. Like I think back to some of my experiences around him. We did a lot of Michigan games. I also, wrote a lot about Michigan. And I remembered in the 2022 season, a few weeks before they were going to play Ohio State. Remember, they'd beaten Ohio State once at that point, and it was in a snowy game, and it was in Ann Arbor. And I remember JJ gave me a quote, which was very confident about what they, how the rivalry had turned, and now that they're, it's going to keep beating them down, kind of thing. And after I got off the phone, I was like, "Ooh, that's going to be bulletin board material." And I was like, I could see that blowing up in JJ's face because the game was in Columbus, and everybody was like, "Here comes payback." And last year was a fluke. Well, what happened was Blake Corum was hurt, and Donovan Edwards, even though he played really well, he was banged up in the game, was playing with the soft cast on his hand. JJ made some big throws and led that team, and they won that game going away. And they've only built off that. I think, he's younger than some of these quarterbacks, but I think he had to do a lot of stuff that Michigan requires of its quarterback footwork wise that is not easy for a lot of guys to come in and learn all that they ask their quarterback to do in that offense. I think he's really smart. The other thing that will be interesting is from talking to some NFL coaches here in Indy, one concern I got from one of the guys was, they think almost he throws every ball kind of the same, where you're wondering, does he layer this? Can he do that? There's like a lot of different pitches that they sometimes want to see. This particular coach was like, I didn't see enough of that. So we'll see where that goes. After, seeing him for a couple of years and seeing his development and seeing kind of how he approaches this, I think JJ McCarthy will be a good NFL quarterback. I just don't know if he's going to be a good NFL quarterback. If he, so much depends on what the situation he goes into.
Sure.
But I really like him. And I think there's a lot to like about him, not just athletically, but intangibles wise.
I think that's what makes it so interesting too, is assuming he's not the number 1 or number 2 overall pick. Now the whole league is up for grabs. I mean, the Kansas City Chiefs, obviously that's where everybody goes when you talk about Patrick Mahomes and the infrastructure that was around him. It'll be fascinating to see what caliber of team winds up with JJ McCarthy, what caliber of coaching staff. I can't wait to see it, but just the range of outcomes make it very interesting for me.